Sometimes the most powerful players in global politics are not the ones making the headlines, but the ones quietly shaping the game behind the scenes. When we talk about the Middle East, people often focus on oil, superpowers, and global rivalries. But what if I told you there is another country, one that many underestimate, yet it sits at the very crossroads of history and geography, a nation with deep ties to the Gulf, with unmatched military strength in the Muslim world, and with a location so strategic that it can influence energy routes, trade corridors, and even peace itself? Today I want to share with you the secret role this country plays in Middle Eastern politics, how it connects regions, balances rivals, and quietly secures its place in the future of global affairs. And as you listen, I invite you to think not only about this nation's role, but also about the lesson it gives us, that true power does not always roar. Sometimes it works silently, patiently, and decisively. By the end of this speech, you will see why ignoring this role is ignoring a critical piece of tomorrow's world. Pakistan's location has always been its most powerful yet understated asset in global politics. It lies at the crossroads of South Asia, Central Asia, and the Middle East, a unique position that grants it influence far beyond its borders. This geographic reality is not just about lines on a map, it is about access, control, and connectivity. To the west, Pakistan borders Iran and is only a short distance from the oil-rich Gulf states. To the north, it provides a southern gateway to landlocked Central Asian republics, which are eager for access to warm waters. To the east, it connects with India, one of the world's largest markets, though strained political relations limit this potential. To the northeast, its border with China gives it direct access to the world's second largest economy, which sees Pakistan as an indispensable partner in its Belt and Road Initiative. The most strategic expression of this geography is the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, known as CPEC. Through CPEC, roads, railways, pipelines, and fiber optic cables link China's western regions directly to Pakistan's deep-sea port of Gwadar. This port is not just another maritime hub, it has the potential to serve as a major outlet for Middle Eastern oil and gas while bypassing the vulnerable Strait of Malacca, which is currently one of the busiest yet most fragile choke points in global trade. For the Gulf states, Pakistan offers a stable route that can complement their traditional energy exports to Europe and Asia, making it central to future energy security strategies. Gwadar's proximity to the Strait of Hormuz, in an era where supply chain resilience and energy diversification have become critical, Pakistan's geography places it at the heart of these conversations. But beyond ports and pipelines, Pakistan's location allows it to act as a bridge, both politically and economically, between different regions. It can connect Middle Eastern economies with Central Asia's untapped resources, link China's manufacturing power with Gulf markets, and even offer Europe alternative trade routes through Asia. This bridging role is often underestimated, yet it is precisely what makes Pakistan quietly indispensable in Middle Eastern politics. Its geography ensures that it cannot be ignored in discussions on trade, security, or energy. Energy and trade routes are at the core of modern geopolitics, and Pakistan occupies a position that gives it an often understated but highly significant role in this sphere. For decades, the Middle East has been the center of global energy supply, particularly oil and gas, as with Europe and Asia as the major consumers. Pakistan sits directly between these suppliers and consumers, with the capacity to facilitate new corridors that could change the flow of goods and energy in the coming decades. Its coastline along the Arabian Sea, particularly the development of Gwadar Port, offers a maritime gateway not only for Pakistan, but also for its partners in the Middle East and China. Gwadar has been envisioned as more than just a local port. It is a potential hub of global trade. Its location near the entrance of the Strait of Hormuz gives it access to one of the most vital maritime choke points on Earth through which a third of the world's oil flows. For Gulf states, whose economic lifelines depend on the steady export of hydrocarbons, Gwadar offers an alternative platform for logistics, refining, and trade that complements their own ports and reduces vulnerabilities. For China, it provides a shortcut to Middle Eastern energy sources, cutting down both time and risk associated with transporting oil through the longer, congested route of the Strait of Malacca. This potential reshaping of energy flows positions Pakistan as more than just a transit state. It can become a partner in energy security for countries across the Middle East and beyond. Pipelines linking Iran, Central Asia, and potentially the Gulf through Pakistan could redefine energy politics in the region. The long-discussed Iran-Pakistan pipeline and proposals for connecting Turkmenistan's gas fields through Pakistan to South Asia highlight how energy infrastructure could elevate Pakistan's role as a connector. If successfully realized, such projects would allow Pakistan not only to benefit economically, but also to hold strategic leverage as a facilitator of critical supplies. Beyond energy, Pakistan's position along major trade routes carries equal weight. As global supply chains face challenges, countries and corporations are searching for alternative corridors. Pakistan, with its access to China in the north, Central Asia in the west, and maritime links to the Middle East, can serve as a vital trade passage for goods moving between Asia, Europe, and Africa. This is why Middle Eastern states have shown increasing interest in investing in Pakistani infrastructure, free zones, and ports, seeing Pakistan not just as a labor exporter, but as a central player in the logistics of future trade. Pakistan's role in Middle East politics cannot be understood without recognizing the weight of its military and security influence. It possesses one of the largest and most battle-hardened armed forces in the Muslim world, with decades of experience in both conventional warfare and counterinsurgency operations. This capability has made Pakistan a natural partner for many Middle Eastern nations, particularly in the Gulf region, where defense and security concerns are deeply tied to regime stability, energy security, and broader geopolitical rivalries. Unlike many states, the region that rely heavily on external powers for military protection, Pakistan offers an indigenous, credible, and culturally connected alternative that resonates strongly with Arab allies. For decades, Pakistan has maintained a military presence in Saudi Arabia, contributing to the kingdom's defense and training of its forces. Pakistani military advisors, pilots, and trainers have served in various Gulf states, helping them develop the professional capacity of their armed forces. This cooperation is not just symbolic. It reflects trust built on shared religious and strategic bonds. Pakistan's nuclear capability further strengthens its standing in the Muslim world, as it is the only Islamic country with such a deterrent, subtly positioning it as a potential shield for Gulf monarchies concerned about regional threats. This unspoken security assurance plays into the confidence with which Middle Eastern nations engage Pakistan in their defense planning. The influence of Pakistan's military extends beyond bilateral ties and into regional stability. In times of conflict or heightened tensions, such as those involving Saudi Arabia and Iran, Pakistan has often been approached to play a balancing role. Its strong ties with both camps give it credibility to mediate while maintaining the trust of each side. This is significant in a region where mistrust dominates politics, and few countries can serve as neutral interlocutors. Pakistan's armed forces, through their discipline and experience, project an image of reliability that makes such mediation efforts possible. Additionally, Pakistan contributes manpower to United Nations peacekeeping missions, many of which operate in the broader Middle East and Africa. This participation demonstrates its commitment to global security and enhances its credibility as a responsible military actor. European nations and Gulf partners alike see this as an asset, reinforcing Pakistan's image as a stabilizing force rather than a distabi. Combined with its deep defense ties, peacekeeping record, and strategic deterrent, Pakistan's military influence forms a pillar of its hidden but impactful role in Middle Eastern politics. Mediation and diplomacy are areas where Pakistan's role in Middle East politics often unfolds quietly, without the fanfare that accompanies major power interventions. Yet with a significance that is impossible to ignore. The country occupies a unique position because it is trusted by multiple stakeholders across divides that usually seem unbridgeable. Unlike powers that carry the baggage of colonial history or overt dominance, Pakistan operates with a more balanced reputation, allowing it to act as a credible go-between in disputes where mistrust runs deep. This role has been visible in its efforts to ease tensions between Saudi Arabia and Iran, two regional powers whose rivalry has shaped much of the Middle East's instability. While Pakistan is firmly tied to Saudi Arabia through defense and economic links, it also shares a long border and cultural connections with Iran, giving it leverage to talk to both sides without being dismissed as biased. This balancing act extends beyond Gulf rivalries. Pakistan's diplomacy has often been called upon during moments of regional crisis, such as conflicts in Yemen, Afghanistan, and even broader issues involving the Muslim world's relations with Western powers. Its credibility stems from the perception that it has lived through the consequences of instability, hosting millions of Afghan refugees, fighting extremism on its soil, and balancing its own fragile economy, making it both sympathetic to and knowledgeable about the stakes of conflict resolution. Unlike distant powers that pursue interests without bearing the brunt of fallout, Pakistan's proximity and lived realities add weight to its diplomatic voice. Pakistan's role is not limited to reactive mediation. It also proactively seeks to unite Muslim-majority nations on platforms of cooperation. Over the years, it has advocated for joint strategies within the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC, pushing for collective action on issues ranging from Palestine to Kashmir. While outcomes are often limited, its willingness to create dialogue underscores its ambition to be seen as a unifier. This contributes to the perception in the Middle East that Pakistan's diplomacy is not about domination, but about balance and solidarity. For European audiences, what makes this role particularly important is how it connects to global stability. A stable Middle East means more secure energy flows, reduced refugee pressures, and fewer ripple effects of conflict spreading into Europe. Pakistan's diplomatic engagements, though often subtle, feed directly into these broader outcomes. By playing a mediating role, it not only maintains its relevance in Middle Eastern politics, but also indirectly supports European and global stability in ways that are frequently underestimated. Economic partnerships form a vital dimension of Pakistan's role in Middle East politics, reflecting both mutual dependence and shared opportunities for growth. For Pakistan, the Middle East is not only a source of energy, but also a region that sustains its economy through remittances. Millions of Pakistani workers are employed across Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and other Gulf states, sending back billions of dollars annually. These remittances constitute one of the largest sources of foreign exchange for Pakistan, providing critical support for its balance of payments. This reliance gives Middle Eastern nations a subtle but powerful influence over Pakistan's economic stability, while also highlighting how deeply interconnected the two sides have become. Yet this relationship is not one-sided. Pakistan provides skilled and unskilled labor that fuels the Gulf's economic engine, particularly in construction, services, and healthcare. As Gulf economies diversify under AMBI, CHIA's programs like Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030, Pakistan becomes an important partner in supplying the human capital needed to sustain those plans. This labor exchange is more than just transactional. It has created a bridge of people-to-people ties that bind Pakistan's economy with that of the Middle East. Generations of families depend on this economic lifeline, while Gulf economies depend on the reliability and discipline of Pakistani workers. Beyond labor, trade and investment linkages are increasingly central. Middle Eastern states are investing in Pakistan's agriculture, energy, and infrastructure sectors, viewing the country as both a partner and a market with untapped potential. Saudi Arabia and the UAE have pledged billions in investment for refining facilities, renewable energy projects, and industrial zones, while Qatar has shown interest in Pakistan's LNG infrastructure. These investments serve two purposes. They strengthen Pakistan's fragile economy and also anchor Gulf states' long-term strategic influence in South Asia. In return, Pakistan exports textiles, food products, and other goods that are essential for the consumer-driven markets of the Gulf, adding depth to the economic partnership. Another dimension of this relationship lies in agriculture and food security. With the Middle East facing challenges of limited arable land and water scarcity, Pakistan's fertile plains and agricultural output offer opportunities for long-term partnerships. Gulf states have shown interest in leasing land and investing in Pakistan's farming sector to ensure a steady food supply for their populations. In a time when global food security is increasingly fragile, Pakistan's role as a potential breadbasket for the Middle East enhances its strategic value. The future potential of Pakistan in Middle East politics is shaped by a combination of opportunities and risks that together define its uncertain but influential trajectory. On one hand, shifting global dynamics create space for Pakistan to emerge as a silent power broker. The gradual retrenchment of the United States from certain parts of the Middle East, combined with the rise of China as a strategic and economic partner for Gulf states, opens a vacuum where regional actors with unique positioning can exert influence. Pakistan, with its ties to both the Islamic world and to major powers like China and the West, is particularly well placed to fill part of this gap. Its geography, manpower, and historical connections allow it to serve as a mediator, a trade facilitator, and even a guarantor of security in times of crisis. For Gulf states charting a path beyond oil, Pakistan represents a partner with untapped potential. Its population of over 240 million creates a market for Middle Eastern investments, while its youthful workforce can contribute to Gulf diversification projects. Pakistan's ports and corridors, particularly through Gwadar and the wider China-Pakistan economic corridor, can act as vital arteries linking Middle Eastern producers with Asian and African markets. As Europe and Asia alike seek resilient supply chains in an era of global uncertainty, Pakistan's infrastructure and partnerships can position it as a critical node in future trade routes. These trends suggest that Pakistan's influence could grow quietly yet significantly in shaping how the Middle East connects with the world. However, these opportunities come with serious risks. Pakistan's internal economic fragility, marked by recurring debt crises, inflation, and limited industrial capacity, threatens its ability to fully realize its strategic advantages. Political instability further undermines long-term planning, creating doubts in the minds of investors and partners. Security challenges, ranging from domestic extremism to border tensions, also continue to weigh heavily on its image. While Middle Eastern states see Pakistan as a partner, they also recognize that its domestic instability could limit its ability to deliver on promises or sustain influence. Moreover, Pakistan's delicate balancing act between rival powers, Saudi Arabia and Iran, the United States and China, carries both opportunity and danger. Its attempt to remain neutral and relevant in these rivalries can enhance its value as a mediator, but missteps could isolate it from one camp or expose it to external pressures. The future, therefore, depends on Pakistan's ability to strengthen its internal foundations while carefully navigating external alliances. Its potential to be a key player in Middle Eastern politics is undeniable, but whether it seizes or misses this moment will be determined by how it manages these risks. In the end, the story of Pakistan's role in Middle Eastern politics is not one of loud declarations or dramatic headlines. It is a story of quiet influence, of geography that connects worlds, of energy routes that sustain economies, of military strength that reassures allies, of diplomacy that builds keys, of economic partnerships that tie lives together, and of a future filled with both promise and uncertainty. Pakistan does not always stand at the center of global spotlights, yet it consistently finds itself at the center of global crossroads. For Europe, for the Middle East, and for the wider international community, understanding this subtle but powerful role is not just a matter of curiosity, it is a matter of strategic foresight. Ladies and gentlemen, as we look ahead, the question is not whether Pakistan will matter in the politics of the Middle East, but how deeply and in what ways it will shape the region's evolving landscape. The choices Pakistan makes and the way the world chooses to engage with it will define much of this story. The future remains unwritten, but the potential is undeniable. I wish you all the best as you reflect on these ideas, and I sincerely thank you for your time, your attention, and your openness to consider this important subject. May the future bring us wisdom, cooperation, and shared prosperity. Thank you, and good luck.